Hello and welcome to Creating Space with me, Martin Bone. This month's episode is with Martin Bone Sr., a heartwarming, inspiring conversation with my own dad, who to me is a brilliant man, talking about yoga, early life as a joiner, death, finding new love, turning 60, mindset and attitude. Hope you enjoy it just as much as I did. It's light-hearted, sincere and honest. It personally took me back in time and we could have spoken for hours. This is episode 1 with my father and my hero, Martin Norman Bone.
I love doing yoga, I love doing a couple of classes a week.
Allow us to journey into these altered states.
It really whacked me psyche though, big time.
If you just sit reading books, it's the shadow because you're not going to be in your body.
Welcome to Creating Space, bringing people together. Real conversations with real people, telling stories and sharing our gifts right here in the heart of Liverpool, inspiring new ideas, education and co-creation.
Choose a challenge that lights you up and is going to make a difference in the world.
Creating Space.
Sponsored by the Scouse app.
So welcome to Creating Space. I am in the form of Martin Bone, and today we've got the main man himself, Papa Planet, also known as Martin Bone Sr., and it's actually my dad, and I'm feeling really excited about today. This is the first episode of the series, and I've been thinking about this all weekend and sort of sweating on what I'm going to say and how the podcasts are going to roll. And I just had a really nice sort of divine revelation over the weekend that it's just about keeping it real. And if I'm being myself, then it'll just flow as it's meant to. So I'm again just expressing that gratitude and that excitement for what's to unfold with today's conversation. So I'm welcoming my father, Martin Bone. And it's January 2020 and we're sitting here, we're in Planet Yoga, we're on Smithdown Road. And we're just getting ready for another day at the office. So thank you for being my first interview, Dad. And I've really enjoyed, thinking about how this is going to unfold. But it's just happening right now. So how have you been over the weekend? What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been an interesting weekend, really. Saturday, I've not been able to get into the classes for the last few weeks, and obviously once you get to my age, I think it's important that you do, retain some kind of physical practice. And so I jumped into Megan's class on Saturday morning, which actually I love doing every single week, but because I've not practiced for the last 3 weeks, I really suffered on Sunday, I must admit.
Felt the pinch.
I think it really kind of tells you that, as you do get older, your body does tend to suffer a lot more than when you were younger, and your recovery time's a lot quicker. And it kind of told me that I just need to keep this going, as much as I can. I love doing yoga. I love doing a couple of classes a week. And I just know that as the years go by, I just need to keep doing it. And it was quite funny that, you're kind of aware now in the class that you're probably twice the age and maybe even 3 times the age of most of the students that are actually in there. But also at the same token, you kind of think, well, how do they see me? I'm just there, an old geezer. But, I feel as if I'm in good shape. And I certainly have no problem keeping up with everybody. And I'm just grateful and thankful that I can continue doing this, and I feel really healthy at this moment in time.
Yeah, lovely. So we're into Monday morning now, and how does Monday morning look for you? Do you have any sort of rituals or habits that you sort of embody, through the week of a morning time? Tell us about your morning.
I think for many, many years, obviously I've had another company, Ideal Homes for You, limited little plug there, but I've actually just decided to come away from having an office because it was just turning into a bit of a man cave, really, because I had a routine and I used to just go there every day, spend a lot of time in the office, and I think it kind of dawned on me that I can actually do the same thing, you know, not only here at Planet, but also at home as well. So I've decided to actually close that office down to obviously carry on with Ideal Homes anyway, but more in a way that suits me. Because again, you know, I just feel that I need to actually have more time for myself, obviously for my partner, and obviously for my family as well. So as opposed to maybe sitting in the office all day, literally, which I didn't really need to do, I need to actually create a little bit of better time management. And so, yeah, the demographics have changed a little bit. So as opposed to coming into the office, I now actually come into Planet Yoga in the morning, spend an hour in here, just doing a few things. Then I'm out on the road, checking on things with customers and so on and so forth, and jobs that we're doing. Then I go home, have a nice couple of hours at home, and then of an evening time back into Planet.
Lovely.
Which I love.
So it sounds a lot more free-flowing, you know, and how was it maybe just letting go of that? Because I know it was a sort of safe space for you, and it was a place where you could go, you know, and have some time to yourself. How's it been sort of letting that go? And I suppose an old paradigm maybe?
Very, very difficult, yeah. It's funny, more historically going back, you know, literally I've been self-employed since I was 21, and always had that routine, never a 9 to 5, always basically being my own boss. And so in reality, as your own boss, you know, there's a saying that you really, you know, if you need to work for yourself or you want to work for yourself, you really have to work twice as hard. And I've always done that. I've always worked a lot of hours, because, again, the saying is, you know, work 80 hours for yourself so that you don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else. And so working long hours has never really been a problem to me, because I don't actually class it as work. It's just been my lifestyle, of, you know, getting up, you know, not even actually having breakfast at home, just up, get ready and get out, and then stay out. And, you know, throughout my whole life, I can't actually remember, more or less up to maybe the last 12 months, actually being at home throughout a working week ever for my whole life, because it was just out. But now, things are completely different. I am spending a lot more time at home. I'm actually enjoying my home at last, and I'm actually getting a lot of pleasure from that. You know, I really am. And so, it's taken a little bit of time. But like anything, you know, you kind of get used to it. You start forming a little bit of a habit. And I must admit, I'm looking forward to this year, because I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff that I've really wanted to do for many, many years. You know, getting out walking, enjoying nature a lot more, enjoying the animals that I've got, obviously enjoying, you know, being with Diane, and most importantly as well, is spending time with you guys, you know, with yourself and Jordan, Angela, Assis, and you know, and just doing that really.
Yeah, lovely. And then, you know, I can really relate to that as a man, and you know, there's a feeling of just wanting to be in the world, isn't there? You know, like getting up of a morning, you know, especially if you feel as if, you know, you have, life's got purpose and it's got meaning. You know, you want to rise, you want to get up, you want to get out. And certainly I feel, you know, from my own perspective, you know, moving into my mid-30s now, and I just feel like I'm in the fast lane, and you know, I'm up really early of a morning, you know, sometimes, you know, 4:45, and there's just this feeling of wanting to be in the world, and you know, wanting to engage, you know, with the things that light you up. And I suppose, you know, I know you turned 60 last year, and things are probably just slowing down for you a little bit. You're probably just coming down a gear, and then really starting to notice that actually, you know, you're moving towards your later stages, and it's more of an eldership in your life, and now realizing that time is pretty precious, and doing the things that you feel like you really want to start doing, you know, i.e. going out for walks, and maybe a little bit more yoga in the week, and just being you know, a lot more floating around. You know, I know it's difficult, you know, it's like swimming from an old island to a new one, isn't it? That, you know, in that middle bit there might be a little bit of confusion, There's also them attachments to that old paradigm, that old way of living, but I know you're embracing it. What I know, you're very much open-minded, and you're just ready to explore different dimensions to your future. So that's great to hear. Every time I seem to go to the office, the days I do remember, I only remember you reading a paper actually, so I don't think you were doing any work.
Well, yeah, that's it. And that's really brought it all home, really, because it's not about the hours you put in, it's about what you put into the hours.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's a cliche, but it's very, very true, and you're absolutely right. I used to think, get into the office and spark up a couple of fags, have a couple of coffees, read the paper, and because I was a manager in direct sales, I was judged on making decisions. So it wasn't a matter of me picking up a spade and laying bricks or building houses or whatever. So it wasn't physical. It was about it was mental, and I think it was just important that when you were in the moment of making decisions, that you made the right ones, because they did tend to affect people's lives and also their incomes as well. But it's also accepting, which I actually did quite easily, that that if there is nothing to do, then don't actually do anything, because you can actually become a busy fool. And so I found that quite easy to just kind of relax and actually do nothing, and just enjoy being in the moment, because I knew what was coming. There was a certain part of the day where it was busy and it was manic, and I had to be prepared for that. But then there were other parts in the day where literally, I would just absolutely just do nothing. Yeah,
and that non-doing, it's very much, it is like a meditative state, isn't it? And being in your own space, allowing things to happen. I think there's a fine line between making things happen and letting things happen. And certainly what I've witnessed over the years, there was definitely a balancing act between the two. And I think you played a really, you played it cool with that one, and so it's all good. So let's take this into the past a little bit, because I know you started talking about picking up a spade there, and you was a joiner by trade, and I'd love to just sort of dive into that a little bit. Where did that one come from, and how did that unfold for you?
It's funny because when people talk about education and qualifications and so I tend to have a little bit of a different mindset on that. And in reality, my mindset is really not the correct mindset, because my journey itself through life was really, school to me was just a playground. More or less from the moment I went there to the moment I left, I wasn't academically clever. But what I was, good at was actually... I was very, very good at woodwork. And so in reality, I always knew from when I was a young kid, actually what I wanted to do. I was very, very good with my hands. And so the likes of French and mathematics, and physics and biology, these things didn't mean anything to me. Spanish. And I must admit, I think if I was a teacher teaching myself, it wasn't a great experience, because I certainly wasn't a great pupil, but I actually loved school. School to me was amazing. I absolutely loved it, but I always knew what I wanted to be. And so for me then, preaching to youngsters nowadays, I can't really say to them, well, education doesn't matter and qualifications don't matter. And you don't really need to work that hard, when in reality you do, because I am aware that the majority of people that maybe weren't on the same journey as me, because I was very, very driven, and I knew exactly what I wanted, and also because of my personality, I actually was a success. Because I've always actually achieved and got to the goals that I've actually always wanted to be at. But I know that in reality, that's not reality. because probably 90% of people that you know, that don't educate themselves, that don't get the qualifications, you know, that treat school like a playground, then they end up, you know, basically really struggling in life. But I didn't. But I'm probably, you know, I'm not the norm. And I know I'm not the norm because it's my personality, and in reality, you're the same. You know, we are driven, and we don't, you know, we don't actually look at failure. You know, to me, it's all about having attitude. It's all about being enthusiastic. It's all about being persistent. And these are actually attributes in your life. And it's not about skill. It's about an attitude. And most people that actually succeed in life, it's all about their attitude. It's not about their skill. Give me 90% attitude and 10% skill, and I will turn a person into a successful person.
Of course.
So it's actually what's going on inside your head. And if you believe that you're actually going to get there, then you will get there. And so, yeah, going back to school, I knew very, very quickly what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be a joiner, and that's what I ended up. I ended up being a joiner. And I loved that part of my life, and made some fantastic acquaintances and friends that are still my friends now. I remember when I first started, when I was 16, there was 8 of us. Them names and them boys, obviously, I still know some of them now. And we've been in touch, throughout our lives. But then people are really, really important to me. And then going from a joiner, things progress from that. But the reality is that life throws you some curveballs, and it's actually how you deal with the curveball. It's how you deal with the situation, which determines where you're actually going to go next on your journey. As far as I was concerned, I always wanted to be a joiner, and I would still be a joiner now. And my life would have taken a completely different direction. But things change, and it's all about meeting the challenge, and actually thinking, this is something that, that's new to me, but I'm going to be a success at it. And actually, and then going into direct sales, I actually then realised very, very quickly that I was very, very good at it. And in reality, when you're actually young, you can either be, I was something that probably is not an attribute that most people would actually think is a strength, and that is a manipulator. And I was a manipulator when I was young. To be honest with you, most kids are manipulators anyway.
Most people are literally just manipulating the situations to suit the needs of the image, really. So I think there's that energy within us. I mean, we've all got multi levels of intelligence, and I think maybe talking on terms of the archetypes here, there's that sort of magician energy within us. Where it's and we're drawing upon our intelligence to make choices. And I think it was just a process in your life. You anchored the mindset and the attitude, and you went into something different. And I like the way you sort of eloquently put that together there, that life changes, and you sort of went with it. You went with the flow. Things were presenting themselves in the present moment, and you sort of you seized the moment, didn't you? And you took it by you took it with both hands. And so, how old was you around that time when you moved into direct sales? I know, how long was you a joiner for?
Yeah, I was a joiner from 16 to 21, and then I was made redundant from a company called Unit Construction, and then I actually went to work for MFI. Which I actually loved because I used to work on the building sites and so on and so forth, and I loved that. But it was great in the summer, not so good in the winter. Maybe that's why I own a hot yoga studio, because I do like the heat, I must admit, and I used to hate the winters. But I was made redundant, went to work for MFI, and that was a brilliant job. We used to go all over the UK, and we'd go into like a big warehouse, and then it was like a 5-week contract, and then we would turn it into an MFI shop or a store. So it was more internal work. We used to stay in a hotel. There was a group of us. We used to all travel up together, in a mini bus. A lot of fun. We used to have a lot of fun. Stay in lovely hotels. The pay was great. And it was a really, really great time in my life, and I loved it. But it didn't last that long, and MFI changed their policy. So instead of employing internal people to do their work, they then brought subcontractors in. So we were all kind of made redundant, and again, and this is where life kind of changes you around a little bit, because I've never, shall we say, not worked. I then went to Germany and answered an advert, and for the older generation, they remember a program called Boys from the Black Stuff. No, it wasn't Boys from the Black Stuff. They remember a program called Auf Wiedersehen Pet, which is actually about a group of British workers that used to go over to Germany and work in Germany. And it was very, very similar, where, as I say, I went over to Germany with a good friend of mine, Ian Evans, and we were over there for 3 months. And it was funny because we went over with full toolkits and things like that, because we were proper joiners. But in Germany, they have two types. They have what's termed a joiner, and then they have which is called a Zimmerman, someone that deals with woodwork. And then they have other joiners who actually do shuttering, which is actually putting shutters up for concrete and that. But basically, because we couldn't really speak the language, we ended up with spades in our hands. But the irony of it is that we were actually better paid than the bosses, because you'd sign a contract in England, and the wages were really good. So it didn't really matter what you were doing in Germany, you still got your money. And because of that, the Germans kind of hated us a lot, because they knew the money that we were on, but in reality we just ended up digging ditches. But then we got to know the language, and it was in Cologne, and had a great time over there. And then we started, doing shuttering and so on and so forth, and we ended up living on the sites, mixing with all the locals, and it was a real happy time in my life. But just prior to that, I'd actually answered an advert in the paper, and it was for joiners to train. It was asking for joiners to train technical reps. That was the advert. Joiners to train technical reps. And so I'd not been married long to Kimberly, your mum, and so I answered the advert, and I went along for the interview, and I kind of thought, well, I'm a little bit young. I was 21. I'm a little bit young to be training people, but I'm just going to go along for the anyway.
I suppose you trusted in your abilities,
didn't you?
I
was confident, and so I answered the advert, and I went along for the interview. And I was only a kid, as I say. I was 21, 22, and this was before I went to Germany. And I was actually that naive that I actually took with me a wooden fish that I'd made in school, more or less to show the guy how good I was at woodwork. And I've actually still got that fish now, or my dad has anyway at home. So I took this fish with me, this wooden fish. And so I went for the interview. Anyway, it quickly became apparent that it wasn't for me to train guys. It was me to train as a technical rep. And in them days, this was like 1981, 82. It was for me to become a double glazing salesman. And people might laugh at this, but at the time, as I say, I went in for the interview anyway, and a guy called Alan Mansley interviewed me. So he was a very, very important person in my life. And anyway, there was there was other lads floating around, and they'd served the time with me. They'd worked on the sites with me. And anyway, Alan interviewed me, and it became apparent that no, they didn't want me to train people. They wanted me to become a double glazing salesman. And at the time, windows weren't plastic windows; they were made from wood, so they were wood and aluminium. So they wanted joiners to actually sell this stuff because they knew all about windows. So anyway, I was just there, and I was getting interviewed, and but what he did, I'll never forget. He actually threw a wage packet across the table to me, and I looked at it, and I seen the amount on the pay packet, and I turned around to him and said, well, that's pretty good for a month, Alan. I said, that's, I'd be happy with that. And he turned around, he said, Martin, he said, that's not a month. He said, that's a week. And I couldn't believe it, because obviously I'd lived a very kind of sheltered existence in a man's world, working on the building sites, earning £150 a week or whatever. And then he's throwing me these commission statements over £500, £600, £700, £800, and this was 1981. And then the lads that were kind of, I knew, they were saying, Mark, this is true. This
is the real deal.
This is the real deal. And I'm thinking, well, only doctors are earning this kind of money, and real, senior people and managers and directors. And I said to Alan, I said, well, listen, I've got nothing to lose. I've just been made redundant. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'll get back to you, early next week. Well, in the meantime, as I say, I was due to go to Germany. And I went to Germany because Alan never got back to me. Anyway, he actually contacted Kim when I was away, and said to Kim, listen, tell Martin when he comes home that he's got a job. And it was funny because it was actually, and we never had mobile phones then, so we used to write to each other. So Kim sent me a letter saying, you've got a job, kind of thing to come home to. And I'll never forget, I was absolutely delighted. But the reality of it is that, and it's the same now, it was just a commission only job. It's just commission only. So you actually got paid a commission of what you'd actually sold. So you were never on a salary or anything like that. But actually that suited me down to the ground, because, I
suppose it went really hand in hand with like your attitudes and the person you was in that moment, and that hunger.
I was a difficult, kid, because the one thing I couldn't take was authority, and I could never take, being pigeonholed into something. And I really, really struggled with that. I really struggled with authority. I really struggled with basically obeying orders and so on and so forth. To an extent that, when I was an apprentice, I actually was sent to sent away with monks, believe it or not, for a couple of weeks, and that was an interesting time. But that was only because I fell out with one of the teachers at school, where we used to go as an apprentice. We'd go to technical college, and
telling you what to do.
Well, I ended up, he was only doing his job, but I couldn't accept it, and I ended up kind of physically, threatening him. And my then boss at the time said, "Man, we can't accept this." And I remember actually going with my mum, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to lose my job here. But he didn't. He said, "Listen, you're a good joiner, you're a good kid, but you've got
just need a bit of time out.
You've got a few issues."
Yeah.
So they sent me away somewhere in Yorkshire to this big manor house with monks, and it was probably one of the happiest times I've ever had. But it taught me a lot of stuff, and I came back certainly a better person. But just jumping forward back to the reality of commission only. The job itself suited me because it was all, there was no clocking on, there was no clocking off. It wasn't 40 hour a week. It wasn't some X amount of pounds per hour. It was like, what if you sell, then you get a commission.
Yeah.
And
There's a thrill to that, isn't there?
There's a thrill to it, yeah, because it's
limitless how much you can earn, I suppose.
It was completely limitless, and you always remember your first deal and things like that. But you'd go out and you'd sell maybe, a full house of windows or whatever for £3,000-4,000, and then you'd be driving away. You'd probably spend 2 hours in a customer's house, and you'd earn yourself £300 or £400.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. It was just. It was like a drug.
Yeah.
Closing the deal, going in and actually meeting someone that you'd never ever kind of seen before in your whole life. And all they want to do is get you out the house.
Yeah.
They just build up a big brick wall.
Yeah, a lot of fear.
But then
boundaries.
you're trained as a salesman to actually then, it's called reasons to buy. And in a way, it kind of suited my personality because it comes back to the manipulation issue. And and you're always very, very good at persuading people to see my point of view. And if you'd actually channel that in a positive way, then manipulation, it actually, another word for that is actually motivation.
Yeah.
And so I knew that actually I could take a positive out of this manipulating kind of personality I had and turn it into a positive by, as I say, motivating people and bringing people to my way of thinking. But I also had the safety net and the knowledge that even though I was kind of talking people into buying windows and earning a lot of commission and so on and so forth, the bottom line is that customer, I wasn't actually ripping them off. I was selling a product. I was kind of, persuading them to buy it on the night, through what we term a fear of loss. But, that's another thing. It's just a closing technique. But, what was happening then is that ultimately I kind of was safe in the knowledge that customer was actually getting a good product. They were getting new windows. They were really happy. It was, the big thing on the market.
Well, you worked for a proper firm, didn't you?
Worked for a proper firm. I was there.
It wasn't Mickey Mouse or Cowboy, was it?
There for 14 years. Loved it. Proper firm, proper guarantees. And at the time of my life, because I had a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
After a week, I'm in snooker halls, playing snooker. Just, as I say, drinking coffee, going to the pub.
I think being around men as well, the stories you're telling, going to Germany, being in school, being enjoying it. I think there's been sounds like a really sort of healthy initiation into manhood, and that tends to happen when you're around men, elders, brothers. You call these men your brothers, and I know you're still in touch with some of these men today. And so talk to me about Alan Mansley then. What did he mean to you? He was the main man in this, I suppose, this setup, and what impact did he have on your life?
It was funny because Alan Mansley, he actually was a professional footballer when he was younger, and he was my boss, my manager in the Double Glazer company. But it's funny because what can you say? He actually then initiated stuff and actually instilled things in me that I actually carry with me today. And the one thing that he kind of initiated was never actually ask someone to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself. Was one thing. And he was the main man. And he would be the first out there knocking on customers' doors, handing leaflets out in the rain, working, setting up stands and things like that, doing canvassing, stuff that he didn't need to do. But he led from the front. And his attitude was, well, listen, if I'm going to ask you to do this, then you need to see that I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm part of you guys, and I'm going to lead you. But he also, his persistence, his enthusiasm that he had, it was absolutely incredible. In the end, it cost him his life, believe it or not, because he ended up having a heart attack, and he passed away as a relatively young man in his early 50s. But it's funny because I actually the one person that I actually dream about consistently is Alan Mansley.
Alan Mansley.
I dream about Alan Mansley a lot, because because I go back to them days of when I was in direct sales, and as I say, it was just a fantastic period in my life. But Alan Mansley was at the centre of it, and one of the proudest moments I actually had as a man, which again sort of like moves you into a slightly different direction. It is then taking ownership of something, and you know, as I say, because I was good at what I was doing, it was just a game to me. Yeah, and yet it took me, you know, a couple of things for me to realise that it's not a game, and I was wasting my talent. Because as I say, I used to just probably work 2 or 3 days a week. I'd go out on a Sunday seriously, and I'd go and, you know, sell a couple of deals, earn a lot of money, and then, as I say, the rest of the week I'd mess about. I'd mess about. I was a bit like Georgie Best, really.
Yeah.
I kind of abused my talent a little bit.
Yeah.
And it took me actually a situation of coming out of it for a couple of days, and then actually I actually went to a seminar. And I went to this seminar one day, and I thought I was, you know,
the main man,
king of the world. You know, I was 27 then, so I'd been selling for 6 years, and I actually thought I was the king of the world, the best thing since sliced bread. And I remember going to this seminar, sitting in a chair, just all laid back, suited up. I used to wear
sparking a ciggy with a couple of the lads.
Sparking a ciggy. I had an earring in, you know, just thinking, you know, I had like Di there, George Michael, the whole works. And this fella was there, and he wasn't in double glazing. This was in insurance and pensions, and it was actually in the Liver buildings. And I went to this, and I was only young then. I was 26, as I say, 27. And it was in the Liver buildings, and I walked into this place, and it was kind of full of middle-aged guys then. They were all like in the 40s and 50s and even mid-30s, which to me at that time was old. But so this fella walks in, a fella called Trevor Deave, and he'd come down from London, you know, and whereas, you know, I thought I was, you know, great having a Ford Capri and stuff like that, and a little Porsche, you know, this guy comes down in a Bentley Mulsanne Turbo, like, you know, which was like the big car then, you know, 50, 60 grand's worth of motor. He was only late 20s himself, this fella. And I'll never forget, we were just sitting in this room, and anyway, he talked about his own life, about basically that he used to be a bit of a bum, and he used to just, you know, be a squatter and smoke weed and so on and so forth. And then as he's talking about his life, he's just said, listen, guys, I'm just not feeling the energy at all. I'm just not feeling it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, well, he's not talking to me because I'm not even meant to be here. You know, I'm just a guest. You know, which it was. I was a guest of someone that actually worked for this company. He said, I'm not feeling it, boys. I'm just not. He said, I need to feel some energy, you know. And he said, so what I want you to do, he said, I want you to get up on this table, and I want you to all stand on your tables. Now I'm looking at people, and as I say, they're in the 40s and things like that, and I'm thinking, oh, this guy's an idiot, you know what I mean? You know, what's going on here? And anyway, the next thing, all these old geezers, they're all standing on the table. And he said, right, he said, what I want you to do, he said, I want you to scream, I want you to holler, I want you to shout, I want you to clap, you know, and I just want you to let it all out. And anyway, and one by one, it started to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and very, very quickly, I'm just thinking, wow.
Yeah, there's a rush.
This is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because the whole energy within the room changed. And I've experienced it in your classes, by the way. You know, and I know why you're doing it, you know, because you're taking people out of their comfort zones. And I just thought, this is just truly amazing.
Yeah.
And anyway, sat everyone down. He had everyone's attention. Everyone felt absolutely brilliant, and we had a wonderful day. I actually then went back to Alan Mansley, who at the time probably just thought I was just a young buck, just messing about. I said, Alan, I said, listen, I've kind of had an epiphany here.
Yeah.
I said, so what I want you to do, I said, I want you to make me a manager.
Yeah. Give me that role.
And give me that role.
Ready to step up.
So I went from being, just a salesman, and he gave me the opportunity, and so I became a manager then, a leader of men, managing people. And that was when I realised that far from me just manipulating customers as an individual for the benefits of just myself, that maybe my purpose in life was actually to then, to motivate other people, to be that leader of men, to be, similar to what Alan was, a guy that people would look up to, and that people could learn from. And so I kind of just utilised my skills, my abilities, my knowledge, and that gave me a lot of pleasure to see people that had kind of come into the business as kind of rookies and things like that, where you'd kind of train them up, you'd spend time with them, you'd go out with them, you'd mentor them. More or less just a mirror image of what Alan done with me.
Yeah.
Because the first time I actually met Alan, we actually went on holiday to Tenerife, and again, you relate to things yourself, because he was, as I say, the main man. He was like a sales director, and when I first started, I was 21, 22, complete rookie, and Kim and I went to Tenerife just as two young kids, as I say, 21, 22. And Alan Mansley was there, and we were just two young kids, and we spent a day with Alan. Now, it's probably like a football fan
spending a day with
Jurgen Klopp, and but Jurgen Klopp actually then, being sincere, and Alan Mansley that day made me feel like a king. He absolutely made me feel 10 feet tall. He treated me as an equal. He made me welcome. He made me part of his family. We had, a beautiful, beautiful day together, a beautiful night. And I think because of that connection, and as I had only joined the company for a few weeks, but because of that connection, I never forgot that. I don't think Alan did either. And we had that kind of connection through our lives. And he became a little bit of a father figure to me, because I could always go to him, and
purge and let go.
And purge, let go. But he also had my back as well, because there are things that I did in direct sales that were pretty naughty, to be honest with you. But he would always have me back, and he'd always protect me, and he would always give me advice. And I kind of use him a lot now. And it's funny where, we talk about, people passing away and so on and so forth, and maybe we'll talk about that, very, very quickly. But, to me, if someone has that kind of influence on your life, then they're not dead.
Yeah.
They're never going to go away. Yeah. They're there. And certainly in dark moments, or when I kind of need a little bit of, a kick up the backside or whatever, I just think of him. Yeah,
you talk to him.
So I know he's not gone. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, And from a perspective there, it's what has gone is just Alan's body, and he's just not here in that form. And the stuff I suppose I've been diving into for a number of years now is to understand that that the essence never really dies, and there's not just a memory and a transmission that sits inside of you from Alan, but there's a general there's an authentic feeling that what he is still with me, and I can check in with them. And what I love here is and I feel like it's certainly, especially in the West nowadays, a lot of these young men, they're just not being blessed by older men. They're just not being seen, and sort of that energy, that fathering energy, when someone takes you under the wing and they're holding the space for you, and they're demonstrating the qualities of what it means to be a king and what it means to step up in the world. And then for Alan, obviously, he already seen them qualities within you of determination and persistence, and I suppose a level of cheekiness and grit. And he anchored that. And again, for him to give you them, to give you a free rein to move into that managerial role, and then to start holding space for others. There's levels of initiation here into manhood over a period of time, which, you know, has made you the man, you know, you are today, and give you the journey that you did in holding the space. And I know you went on a journey of becoming a manager then, and I know you went into another company, and things just sort of unfolded, you know, for many other years to come, didn't it?
Yeah. As I say, I used to go up to you know, to Leicester and that, and you know, and train people, and as I say, you know, travelled abroad with the company and so on and so forth, and it was funny because, you know, people sort of like, there's a stigma attached to selling double glazing kind of thing, but in reality, you're not actually selling double glazing. You're just selling a product.
Yeah.
And any sale is done between two people, and it doesn't matter whether you're selling cars, whether you're selling houses, whether you're actually selling companies. Ultimately, the deal is done between two people.
Yeah, it's a relationship, and it's an energy between.
And it happens all the time because people buy off people.
Yeah, of course.
And again, it comes back to that, like, you know, don't be a Svengali, don't be a manipulator, you know, be the motivator, you know, be someone that someone aspires to, be someone that someone really, really likes. You know, it is the old saying, like, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also it's actually having the confidence to be comfortable within your own clothes, because, you know, I was a manager, I was a boss, you know, I still am. I've got companies and so on and so forth. But, you know, I never walk around with pips on my shoulders and things like that, because I also realised that, you know, manage how you want to be managed yourself. And you don't need anyone that kind of needs to put pips on the shoulders and actually tell people that they're the boss and you will obey and things like that. They are not going to get far in life, because they are, you know, to me, then people are kind of insecure, and they need to kind of sell the idea that they're the boss to themselves, when in reality, you know, your own deeds, you know, are there in front of you, and people will either follow you or they won't, and they will only follow you, you know, by actually, you know, respecting you, by liking you, but by also realising that you've actually been there and you've done it, and also, you know, by working hard as well. I do, you know, work hard, you know, but I put hours in.
Well, I remember as a child, you know, it was a lovely time in my life, actually, you know, when I went to SFX and you know, you started working for Anglian, and, you know, they had a massive, they had an office, didn't they, on, you know, on the Five Ways, and it was literally like every night after school, you know, I'd pop in for like, you know, half an hour before I got the bus home, and you know, there was a level of, I suppose, when I look back now, you know, you were the boss, and, you know, you were managing so many other people, you know, within that dimension of the business, of the office, and you know, and I suppose I played on that, knowing that you were the main man. You know, this is my daddy's the boss, and it certainly helped me to aspire, and it inspired me to move into the things I've moved into in my life, and you know, so it was a wonderful
time. You're probably a chip off the old block, because, you know, because you actually came to work, you know, at Anglian for the time, on the telephones, which is great grounding, because again, that's about persuading people, you know, in a friendly way, by following maybe certain kind of, you know, scripts and professionalism and that, to, you know, to actually then get the results, and you know, that is about motivation as well. But the important thing, it's communication, you know, and you are a great communicator, and this is where now you've sort of like are at a stage in your life where it is about communication, you know, for you, but what you are doing is you realise that that with communication, you know, you need the knowledge as well, because in reality, you know, when you actually talk to somebody, you're not really learning anything, because it's all coming out of your own brain, obviously. But if you've actually then read the books or listened to people, you know, or as I say, watched podcasts or been to seminars and everything that, you know, that goes about that, and you absorb all of that information, and then to be able to pass it on,
to apply it,
you know, to apply it, you know, that's, you know, that is a skill within itself, because a lot of people actually have probably got the same knowledge as you and I.
Delivery is a bit important, isn't it?
To be able to apply it and apply it so that people, you know, are actually enthused about it, are motivated by it, but also in the knowledge that you're actually changing their lives as well. And that probably leads us, both of us, to where we are now.
Absolutely.
In our lives, you know, you're in your mid-30s, and, you know, you've been on a journey, as you know, but it's actually what we're doing now. You know, you and I talking as two men, as father and son, to be able to do that is a gift. You know, I could never do that with my own father. You know, I left home when I was 19, and I wasn't thrown out. I actually had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. But I was 19 when I left. So my dad never got to know me. He only knew me as a kid. You know, he knew me as a teenager, but he never knew me as a man. My early, you know, years as a man were spent being married, you know, to Kim and raising a family. And so I never really got to know me dad through the eyes of being a man. And my dad never really got to know me. And one of the gifts I am truly aware of is that both yourself and Jordan, I've got to know you guys, you know, as men, and also you guys as men have got to know me. And however this life kind of pans out, and obviously one day we're all going to just be dust. But that connection that we've got and that relationship that we've got, it's kind of pretty rare. But I also think that there's more of it going on now. Because historically, years ago, you know, people did leave home when they were very, very young. And I think one of the positives of people actually spending more time with the parents is actually to get to know each other a lot better.
And there's a lot of lessons we can learn from, you know, from each other. You know, I'm learning a lot of lessons now being a father, and, you know, it's Cease, my young daughter, she's teaching me a lot of what it means to be a father, and how to, you know, to step up into that energy. And, you know, it takes time, it takes experience to become a man, and I know we actually got to spend a lot of intimate times together in the house. More me, you and Jordan. You know, I know you and my mum got divorced, and my mum moved out, and that sort of crisis at the time, which was incredibly painful. You know, when we look back, it was meant to happen. You know, it built our character as people, and we really got to spend a lot of good times together. You know, we went through a period of going out and socialising a lot more, and we played a lot of poker for quite some time, and that was a great time of our lives. That probably lasted a couple of years. You know, with a massive amount of other lads, and again, it was just being in that energy of men and coming together and having a drink and ordering pizza and playing poker and having a laugh. That really nourished us, and it brought us closer together. And they're the times that, you know, when I do look back, I hold them really close to me. You know, and it was a very special time. And so yeah, it's really beautiful to just talk about it now, and, you know, it brings up you know, some emotions, which is all welcome. So thank you for sharing your story so far. I know there's so much more in there. You know, I mean, we could be here all afternoon, but let's move towards then, why yoga? Where did this happen? You know, how did Planet Yoga unfold for you? You know, we've been here now, this is our 8th year together. You know, we're well-established yoga studio. How did this begin? Where was the birthing place of yoga for you?
I think the birthing place is a place you actually come to yourself, you know, dependent on the life that you've had. It's a bit funny, really, because, you know, I truly believe that I actually have had and was born at an amazing time in the life of humanity. You know, 1960s, you know, everyone knows what happened then. I enjoyed that, I experienced that, but all of what's happened has brought me to where I am now. And as I say, by being a child of the 60s, and then the 70s, you know, I started 1970 as a 10-year-old. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, and he ended the 70s, and I was actually married at a house, and I'd left school, I'd started work, and so that decade was absolutely massive, you know, from being literally not even in senior school to actually ending it married and having a house. Mm-hmm. And so you know, a decade, a lot can happen within a decade. And then you know, going forward, but things happen, you know, throughout your life that actually then lead you in a position, and you can actually crystallize them. You can go back to certain moments. And believe it or not, you know, you can say, well, where did it come from? It might have actually come from someone playing loud music in a house next door to where I had my first house in Winslow Street, which then triggered me to actually then move and buy a plot of land and build a bungalow, which then triggers things that you actually then meet people.
Absolutely.
You know, which then, okay, on the downside, maybe leads to, you know, a divorce, but then, you know, puts you in a position where you actually then truly become the person that you're actually meant to be. Because when you are actually on your own for a period of time, then you are answerable to no one but yourself. And because I had the confidence of being self-employed and not actually being salaried and having them handcuffs, it actually then allowed me to do things and to open up businesses, to try different things. You know, for God's sake, you and I used to go out at 1 o'clock in the morning in a van selling alcohol to people, right? Because the pubs were closed and because like the off licenses were closed. But what it's done, it made us realise that we actually had nothing to fear in no matter whatever we wanted to achieve, because we were quite successful at that.
Yeah,
but
it
nearly killed us, you know. But we actually done it so we had an idea, and we instigated it. And we bought a van, and we used to buy the booze, and then we'd go out and we'd earn our money. But it was the wrong business, but it actually was maybe the right business. Because what it taught us, you and I, is like, well, we can do anything if we put our minds to it. And so why yoga? Well, funnily enough, I was bought a yoga pass by an old girlfriend, and so I went to do yoga. And at the time, I used to go to the gym, David Lloyd's, loved David Lloyd's. But going to the gym to me was a chore. I used to hate going, and I was absolutely delighted when it was over. And I think when you're in that kind of world, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And so I was looking for something that was going to give me a little bit of a different perspective on life, and also more of a lifestyle business, because I was in direct sales, because it was all pressure all the time, commission, money, and I just thought, I need to find something, because I can't do this for the rest of my life, so I need to find something that actually is going to be of great benefit to me. So I started doing yoga, and the very first time I actually done it, went down to Campsie Road, done a class with Stuart. It was a hot yoga class.
Yoga Nation, wasn't it?
Yoga Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot yoga class.
First hot yoga studio in Liverpool, wasn't it?
45 minutes in, I am feeling as sick as a dog. I'd been out drinking the night before. I was actually, went to the toilet. I was physically sick. But I went back into the room, and I seen the class out. But in the end of it, I just thought, this is me.
This is it.
This is it. This is exactly what I've been looking for. Because yoga itself is, it's an event. You know, it's not, you know, you don't go there for physicality, you don't go there for mentality, you go there for everything. And so what I did, because, you know, again, very business orientated, I just thought, well, I need to put something out there. And so, even though I love doing yoga, I just thought this would be a great business. And so I actually registered the name Planet Yoga with Company's House. Never kind of, you know, thinking, well, I did think, yeah, because it's all about manifestation. But I knew at that moment in time that if I was going to start a new business, that this was the business, you know, for us to get into. Anyway, I enjoyed the journey. I loved going down there, met some wonderful people, changed my life, you know, and then you and I, we had the opportunity, you know, in this space. And again, no fear. There was no fear at all.
We just said yeah, didn't we?
We just said yeah. We put a few thousand each in together, and we just went for it. And within 6 months, 7 months, you know, and you and I, we'd never run a yoga, you know, studio in our lives. We weren't yoga teachers. We didn't really know the yoga community, but we both loved it because, you know, you started doing yoga as well, and we both loved what we were doing. And, you know, well, where are we now? Well, you know, well, look what's happening now, you know. So at first, yeah, it was just like, yeah, we had a little studio and we done some hot yoga classes and we loved it. But my God, you know, 8 years later, you know, we are literally far more than a yoga studio.
Yeah.
You know, we've kind of created something which has changed so many people's lives for the better. And if there's a legacy to be left from myself, and obviously yourself as you get, you know, into older life, then this is the legacy that I want to leave. You know, I don't want to be leaving legacies of like, you know, oh, well, he was a great salesman and he used to train people and blah, 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 and they earn loads and loads of money. My legacy is you know, like yourself, is that we've made a difference. We've made a conscious difference to people's lives. Because who knows, you know, that we've had thousands and thousands of people over our doors, and some of them will visit us, and they may only visit us 2 or 3 times, you know. But then we've had other people, and they've become yoga teachers. They've opened up actually yoga studios. They've then gone into different parts and different aspects of you know, of this particular world that we now inhabit. You know, whether it be meditation, you know, whether it be, you know, mentoring people, you know, whether it be yoga, whether it be, as I say, doing events, whether it be, you know, kirtan, kundalini, you know, all of this. But ultimately, all of it is all about good. It's all about the power of good. It's all about the power of love. And it's same with Yoga Nation. I've never known anybody actually walk into our studio with an attitude. Yeah. You know, everyone that actually comes in here actually comes feeling really kind of, you know, peaceful, feeling really calm, feeling happy, feeling motivated. And if we can make a little difference, you know, to people's lives, then that's it for me. Yeah. You know, that's it for me. And it was never about the money, you know, because if you are successful, then the money is just part of it. And it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about what, you know, how we feel ourselves. You know, I sleep very, very well at night. I am inwardly very, very happy, as I always have been, to be fair. But I just know that, you know, when you're out there and people come up to you, and then you see them at reception, and you just know that you are a force for good.
Yeah. There was a sense of authentic connection, wasn't it? I think you went to Yoga Nation and realised that there was an originality to it, that there was a sense of like realness to it, you know what I mean? And, you know, and as you said, it was like an event. I know you used to go on a Saturday and a Sunday every weekend, and it was something that it was a joy for you to do. It wasn't a chore. It was like something that you were getting great benefits from the class, but you're seeing the qualities of human connection, you know, within that paradigm, within that dimension, within that space, and it's still there today. And you know, and funny enough, that the woman who actually give birth to that studio is my partner, and you know, we've had a little girl together. So
right.
You know, we talk about magic here. You know, we're talking about synchronicity and chain of events, and how things have unfolded. I remember doing my first hot yoga session in Yoga Nation, and I just felt something I only felt when I was actually clubbing. You know, I used to go clubbing a lot, and you know, getting the feet on the dance floor, and you know, and exploring, you know, ecstasy and deep house music, and I always felt a sense of connection. And what I was really looking for at the time, and I didn't really know what I was looking for myself, really. And I remember just going into that first yoga session in Yoga Nation and just feeling a sense of belonging. You know, and there was it was obviously, it was the environment, you know, the ambience, the heat, the sweat, the music, because I'd done yoga previously, you know, in church halls and leisure centres, and it was nowhere near the experience that it was, that, you know, we were tasting that fruit in the class. And I think, you know, you setting that intention of putting it out there, you know, registering Planet Yoga, you know, and what a name, by the way, and sort of forgetting about it. And I think the way it unfolded, you know, is bringing that element of where I was up to in my life. I'd stopped being a tennis coach. I was a tennis coach for a long time. Moved into... you know, I was running a fitness class in the park at the time, and I was really close friends to a guy called Simon Langton, and you know, he was actually in this building, wasn't he? He was doing some personal training, and that, you know, how things unfolded. It was actually his barber who knew about the space, and he moved into it, and obviously he was on one floor, and then the landlord asked if he wanted to take it on, and it was just this, like, it was almost like this butterfly effect, wasn't it? And, you know, as you said, we were up for it. We came together, and there was nothing really going on in the south, was there? There was no hot yoga studios. There was only Yoga Nation. There was the Bikram Centre in town. And so that real, like, thirst of wanting to do something for the greater good. And, you know, and we still had our business head on, do you know what I mean? You know, I think we seen a gap in the market. You know, Smith Down Road was you know, and still is, like, organically unfolding. It's, you know, it's been amazing over the last few years to watch, you know, what's really happening around this area. And yeah, this was in 2012, you know, the opportunity came to us. And I remember we just dived straight in, and we met a lot of yoga teachers at the time. We were doing a lot of yoga in the city. We were checking in with people and just diving into a whole new world. It was a whole new environment. It was different community, and obviously, you know, we were making a lot of really nice friends from Yoga Nation and having a lot of direct experience of the practice of yoga as well. Let's not forget, you know, the things we were cultivating. You know, it gave us an opportunity to feel into ourselves. I know, especially me, it was an opportunity for me to start to look in the mirror, you know, and start to cultivate that awareness and to feel how I was behaving as a man, and maybe asking them big questions, where do I want to go in my life, and what is my purpose? And having, you know, been a tennis coach for such a long time, and I'm always been sort of mentoring and teaching people, it just felt natural to move in the direction we did, and it was effortless, wasn't it? You know, it just unfolded. We you know, we looked at the building, we said yes, And then we just embarked on a whole journey. I remember, like, you know, them days of knocking down walls, you know, in the main yoga hall. You know, we were knocking down walls together. You know, and we give ourselves a deadline, really, and it was a couple of months. We had a few builders on the site with us, and we were at it for like 7 days a week, weren't we? And you know, and they were special times, and we opened up in the January 2013, and I really get a sense of we had no idea what we were moving into, you know, and us sitting here now, and almost, you know, 8 years on, it's
well, the first thing I remember just going back to that was well, two things. One was the fact that we'd set a date to open up, and the night before, you and I were literally, and it was freezing cold, you and I were actually on our knees scrubbing the paint off the floor, ready for people to do some yoga the following day. And we were literally,
we took it to the edge.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we did not have no sleep, did we?
and we were at it, yeah. And the other thing actually I always remember was we'd set up the booking system and so on and so forth. And I never forget us actually sitting at home, and we'd done it all, and we'd set up the timetable, and we had the teachers and things like that, and it was like, what happens now? Like, you know, it's like the old saying, if you build it, they will come. And we built it, but we didn't know whether anyone was going to turn up or anything like that. And we'd spent many thousands of pounds, and we had all these teachers lined up and things like that, and it was like, okay, so what happens now? And I'll never forget, you know, actually, and it was your phone, and I even remember the moment I'm sitting on one big couch, you're sitting on the other big couch, and then all of a sudden your phone just pinged.
Yeah.
And
actually, payment money.
And it was a payment. Someone had actually bought a 10 class card. It was John.
It was John.
John.
I can't remember his second name.
He actually still comes now.
He still comes, that's right.
John. And he bought a 10 class card, John. I say he's still a student with us now, John. And it was like, oh my God, this fella's just, I think it was like £60 or whatever. Yeah. This fella's just paid £60 for 10 classes, you know. We're on our way.
I remember.
And that was the very first one, and it never happened before, but it was just such a special moment. In reality, you know, this is what you and I are now defined by. We've had a few challenges, and sometimes we felt a little bit rubbishy and putting all the hours in and things like that, and maybe, you know, we've not earned a lot of money from it, but the reality is this is what defines us as men, as humans, but also as probably people within Liverpool itself. I think we're both aware that Liverpool is such a special city. There's a lot of there's a lot of consciousness going on in Liverpool, and I wouldn't say we've awakened Liverpool, because Liverpool's always been awake, but what we've done is we've give Liverpool a vehicle for that, you know, for them people to come and, as you say, not go to church halls, not go to leisure centres and swim baths, but come to a proper yoga studio.
But even not just going to church, you know what I mean? Like, people are looking for a sense of belonging. They're looking to worship, you know, and we live in a society now where, you know, a lot of people are indoctrinated and they're conditioned by their environment. So, you know, we live in England, and chances are, you know, you're probably going to grow up in that sort of Christian faith, you know what I mean? Catholicism. I was baptised as a Catholic, you know what I mean? And you know, you go on that sort of process. And I think what yoga's done, you know, for me personally, and then collectively, is giving people a container to just feel into themselves and build a lot of character, you know, and purge and stretch and open up and get fit. But on a deeper level is to giving them an experience of knowing maybe who they are a little bit, you know, and going past, you know, the mask and removing the mask and exploring that vulnerability and a sense of connection to oneself. Because, you know, especially nowadays, we're looking outside of ourselves for the sense of self, and everyone's like, you know, modern times and high-speed living's causing people to just, you know, be so busy and fragmented and stunted. And this sort of opportunity where, you know, you guide people through a yoga class, you know, they have an hour to themselves. They're just simply connecting to the body. They're getting into the body. They're getting out the mind. They're connecting to the breath. And, you know, that's the sort of base of it. And then, you know, what's unfolded from that is a sense of community. You know, all the events and the workshops we run here. And I can honestly say that a lot of my best friends now have been, you know, through opening, you know, Planet Yoga all them years ago. And it's been such a nourishing journey for us to go on. And it's been certainly a life worth living. And you talk about wealth, and I feel a wealthy man because I know who I am. I've certainly, you know, and I'm a wealthy man because of the connections I have. I have authentic connections with others. You know, I've come to a great understanding about what lights me up in the world and how to serve the world, and, you know, using that container of yoga. You know, fortunately for me, I was able to go on, you know, some teacher training. I went to Mexico and, you know, went on that journey of meditation and then, you know, this the whole unfolding, you know, the environment, the people we've met, the people we've spoke to, the conversations we've had, the yoga we've done, you know, growth is it's inevitable really, but I suppose it sort of speeded our growth up, didn't it? And you know, for us to sit here now and really own who we've become, and to understand the power of what it means to hold the space of Planet Yoga, because that's what we're doing here. You know, you said build it, they will come, and we're just holding the space. You know, we are the caretakers here. You know, we're the ones with the keys, and what I love is that, you know, we own the business, but we're here. You know, we're very much on, you know, on the ground level with everybody, you know what I mean? I know you still love cleaning the bloody mats, do you know what I mean? You know, mopping the mats, but that's a level of integrity, and that's a level of equality, and
it probably goes back to Alan Mansley,
yeah,
you know, of like, well, don't do something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
Of course.
You know, and you know, and yeah, you know, it's also having standards, you know, within Planet itself, you know, to know that, you know, every student that actually does a class with us is actually lying on a mat that's actually being cleaned.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
And if you look after the small things, then the big things will kind of look after themselves. Because that's what people remember.
Yeah.
You know, and they do remember little things like that. Clean mirrors, clean mats,
of course.
You know, clean towels, water.
Yeah.
You know, all of this.
It is the little things, but let's not forget the big things. You know, we've had some, you know, we've had some amazing workshops here. We've had, you know, and even the teachers we've had and the teachers we've got now, we've always been blessed with good yoga teachers, authentic vibes, and especially over, I suppose, the last couple of years, you know, Planet's took another turn, because just recently we've taken on, you know, the whole building now, and you know, we're sitting here in the top hatch, and you know, we've got a series of meditation practices going on now, you know, through the week. You know, we now do like a non-hot yoga class, you know what I mean? We've got a hot yoga studio, we've got a traditional yoga studio, we've got upstairs, you know, and everything that's ever happened. You know, we've done plant medicine here. You know, we give people the opportunity to thrive here and express their own gifts and talents. And, you know, we've done a lot of men's work here. And it really has become a force, you know, and I think that for such a small studio, it's got massive character. And I can truly sit here with a level of humility and sincerity that it has changed people's lives. And I think, you know, if we can really romanticize the idea, is that, yeah, you know what, that was what it was for. It was about just watching people grow, bringing people together. I know that's a strapline of ours, you know, and that's what it was about. You know, we brought people together and to watch these people unfold, and as you said, you know, move in their own directions and explore their own growth and transformation as being human. It's been worth it, you know, because there has been some blood in there's been some sweat, and there's been a lot of tears. But for me to sit here and really, you know, look back, it's been what a time. And let's bring Diane into this for a moment. You know, I know, you know, having the studio, you met your partner, your current partner.
Yeah.
And she is now she's a partner in the business now, isn't she?
I can honestly say that you know, that Diane, you know, obviously I love her to pieces, and you know, we are extremely happy together. But from a professional side as well, she's just kind of brought that extra dimension into Planet Yoga, whereas, you know, her skills, you know, her organizational skills, you know, her marketing skills, but also the fact that she's a bit of a perfectionist, you know, has just added to that little demographic of Planet.
We've upgraded, haven't we?
Definitely upgraded. You know, all the graphic stuff she does, all the promotions that she does, you know, and she has actually, in my opinion, she's just taken Planet to the next level. She's just give us a professionalism,
and a feminine touch as well. You know, I think we just needed that little bit.
You know, you look at the Zen room downstairs. You know, it's all her work, and she's just got a great eye. But probably the irony of it is we're sitting in a space now, you know, which is your meditation room, which is a beautiful space. And, you know, that probably may not have happened only for you know, the fact that we had a treatment room downstairs, which actually, you know, served a purpose. But we outgrew that, you know, and we're now in this bigger space, this you know, this meditation room, and we did outgrow it, you know, and that's probably down to Diane, you know, to a large extent, and yeah, we're very fortunate to have her, and more importantly, I am very, very fortunate to have her as a partner.
And I know she, you know, Diane's moved into the house, and it's a house you built, you know, in 81, I think, 82. I was
87.
Yeah, 87. Sorry, I was born in 84. That's right. You built the house, and you're still there. And Diane's moved into the home, and she's even upgraded the family home, hasn't she? You know, she's done an incredible amount of work over the last couple of years, and then there's other family members. You know, let's talk about the dogs here and the cats. You know, being a lover of animals, and
it's funny, because you know, Diane needed, you know, the bungalow needed to be Diane's home, as it was your home and Jordan's home, you know, for many years, and obviously Kim's home as well. But this space that we now live in, it needed to be here. She, you know, she's not just a passenger. You know, she's a driver, and so yeah, the bungalow has taken a complete transformation, and it's now you know, you know, it's hers. It's her space. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's a pleasure to actually go home and to see all the work that she's done, and the different energy within the place itself. So, and yeah, there is life in the home once again. You know, whereas, you know, you and our Jordan and that were there for many years. Well, we've now got our own family, which is the dogs and the cats as well, and they, you know, they bring a different energy to the place itself. It's funny because, as I say, I've never had a dog when I was a kid. I think we had a cat for a short period of time, but my dad actually got rid of it because we were going to Butlins, and it was quite coincidental that the night before we were going to Butlins, the cat went missing, and I think my dad has never admitted the fact that he probably just dropped the cats off somewhere on a motorway or whatever, and since then we never really had animals, and even when you guys were kids and that, we always made excuses like, well, we'd never be able to look after a dog, and so
we were all active, weren't we? You know,
yeah, we were
never really in the house that
all
much.
having busy lives, but and then Diane come along, and I remember the very first time actually, we had a bit of a meeting or a date or whatever, and it was actually on Otters Pool prom, and I'm standing there at the cafe, and then I seen Diane walking across the field, and she had these two dogs. She was like Boadicea. She had Merlin on one side and Harley on the other, two border collies, beautiful dogs, and she's kind of in the middle, and she's quite small, Di, and she just looked like a vision walking across this grass. And then, as I say, and I had the connection with the dogs, and okay, they're at home now, we're all together, and we've got the cats as well, and it's just like having a comfort blanket all the time. You know, that you're not alone. you know, it's like when you guys were living with me. I had the comfort blankets of knowing that you were there. That even though I was divorced and I was on my own, but I had the comfort blanket of knowing that you were there. You were in the next room, and it's exactly the same with dogs and the cats. You know, we get home, and no matter, you know, how we're feeling or what kind of day we've had or whatever, them dogs give us the welcome as if they've never ever seen us before. You know, and it's unconditional love. And I can honestly say, for someone who's maybe never had a dog, well, you know, get one, because they will just love you to the ends of the earth. And I feel, again, totally blessed that we've got these animals, and obviously we've got the cats as well, and we all live together as one happy little family. And it's we have a lot of fun, you know, and it's really, really great. And I think because of that, when you become an animal lover as such, it makes you more conscious of maybe, you know, what's happening on the planet itself. You know, I made a decision probably now about 6 or 7 years ago to actually stop eating meat, and and the reason why I'd done it wasn't for health reasons. It was for it was for moral reasons. I, you know, watched a few programs of how you know, animals are treated, and how they are slaughtered, and how they're kept, and you know, through factory farming and so on and so forth, and it horrified me, to be honest with you. And I just thought, I need to make a difference here. So I just decided to stop eating meat completely, and I say that was a long time ago. And I'm not getting on a soapbox or anything like that, but morally, I actually feel a lot better about it. And, you know, to be fair, you know, the restaurants in Liverpool, you know, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian or whatever, there's some absolutely amazing restaurants. There's amazing food to be had. And I do believe that you actually don't need to eat meat to actually have, you know, a wonderful diet. But also, you see now what's going on in the world, you know, with global warming and things like that. And I don't think people realise that the biggest reason for global warming is not cars, you know, and it's not oil, and it's not energy. It's actually farming.
Yeah, the methane gas.
It's the methane. It's cattle. And all of these forests that are getting cut down in the Amazon, they're not getting cut down to create wood or paper or to build furniture. They're getting cut down to actually create space for cattle. Yeah,
and the food as well.
You know, and the cattle is there to be slaughtered.
Yeah.
To feed humanity.
Yeah.
Now, if we just made a conscious decision, and I'm not saying like let's all stop eating meat, but if we were a little bit more selective, maybe if we just cut down a little bit, we would make a massive difference to global warming.
Because a lot of the grain, it's basically, there's so much farming nowadays which farms the grain to feed the cows.
Yeah. And also water. You know, for every burger that you eat, right, there's probably around about 100 litres of water.
It's getting used.
It's getting used to create 1/4 pound burger.
Yeah.
You know, now that's wrong.
Crazy.
You know, when you actually look at, you know, people in countries that can't even get fresh water.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just wasting all of it to actually feed livestock.
Yeah.
So if we can actually cut down the amount of livestock that we actually have to create, and that's not just cows, it's pigs, it's sheep, you know, it's chickens and things like that. And just think a little bit more about your diet, and maybe just eat meat for a couple of days a week. You don't realise what a difference you're going to make. And it's not a difference to yourself, it's a difference to future generations.
I mean, how do you feel in yourself though, like personally, you know, without eating meat? Did you feel like there's a change that's happened? I know you were a heavy smoker for a long time, and you know, so going vegetarian and sort of cutting that addiction of you know, that you had to smoking, you know, because you were 60 last year. I suppose maybe making a few skilled choices over the last few years is, you know, has given you that platform for longevity, really.
I loved smoking. You know, I enjoyed every cigarette that I put in my mouth. I absolutely loved it. But, you know, you come to the realisation that, you know, that we're all kind of, mortal figures, and you need to do something, not to prolong your life, because it's actually about the life that you live.
Yeah, the quality.
It's about the quality of your life. But I just simple things. I got a bad cold over 2 years ago. It affected my health, and it gave me a reason to actually pack the cigarettes in. And when I put my mind to something, I find it quite easy to stick to what I'm going to do. So I stopped smoking. Never took patches or anything like that. I just stopped, and I've not had a cigarette since. And then you realise it's just all about dealing with the moment, because you will have a moment that you're craving for a cigarette, but it's just dealing with the moment. It will only last for a minute, 30 seconds. Just get over it.
Yeah, it all comes to pass away, doesn't it?
And move on. So you're not craving all the time, but you do have cravings. And then all of a sudden, them cravings stop, and then you get to a situation where you see other people smoking. It doesn't actually, disgust me or anything like that, but you kind of look and you think, God, I used to be like that. Yeah. I used to stand outside hospitals, because I'm spending a lot of time visiting hospitals at the moment with my father. And I see people outside smoking cigarettes, and I'm thinking, well, I used to do that, so I can't be judgmental of them people, and they have to find their own way. But yeah, also financially, you save yourself a lot of money. So I know from a health point of view, I've made the right decision. I don't get out of breath or anything like that. I know that your body regenerates anyway. And I just hope that I stopped in time to give me, a long and healthy life. Definitely. Same, with the meat. But then you get conscious about milk and stuff like that. That maybe, cut your milk intake down, change your diet. I do eat a very, very healthy diet, very Mediterranean. I love it. I love nuts, grains, olives, tomatoes. Diane will probably have a laugh if she listens to me saying this, because she absolutely goes mad when I put tomatoes and olives and absolutely everything. But I know that's medicine, because that's doing you a lot of good. I stopped drinking for probably 4 or 5 years.
You had a period of time off the booze, didn't you?
Yeah,
which was
never touched a drop of alcohol. Now, I enjoy
glasses of wine.
I enjoy a glass of wine.
Yeah,
I really do enjoy a glass of wine.
It sounds like there's a really healthy lifestyle going on
nice
here.
Balance now, yeah.
And physically, I think from my perspective, and I know you're intimately dad, is obviously your mindset's always been so healthy, really, really, incredible mindset, leaning towards and always in that realm of positivity, really, and seeing the moments as they are, and not really, you've never played the victim, to be honest with you, and you've always been really steadfast and persistent and consistent, and all of them qualities, and now you're anchored from your own father, really, and you spoke about my granddad there, and we'll tap into that shortly. And yeah, I think you're talking about morality here, and coming into your 60s and thinking, okay, well, I've probably got, if I want it, another 30 years here, another 30 good years, and that's brings me into talking about, firstly, for a moment, you're now a grandfather, and so how does that feel, moving into that realm of your existence?
It kind of, being a grandfather is different from being a father, because you're actually conscious, more so than ever, of the time that you're spending with your grandchild, or a cease in my instance, and you actually then go within, because you're actually conscious of what you're doing. To give you an example, to be able to look into the eyes of a cease and know and have the feeling of how special it is, and how much it means to you, because you just don't take things for granted second time around. You do with your own kids. You kind of take them for granted, but your grandchildren, it kind of gives you a little bit of a second shot, not necessarily to learn from your mistakes, because I don't think you make mistakes, but more so from a mental side of it, of how you view things, and and also the moments to see, to see her grow, to see her change, to see her kind of learn, in a mentality and a physicality, and to appreciate that, and not just think, well, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. That's a saying from John Lennon.
That's right.
But that's exactly what life is. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Well, I'm sorry, but you've just got to enjoy the moment.
Absolutely.
And being with a cease, and sharing that space with her, it really, really is special. I also believe that, again, we're also in an age where, the likes of you guys, Tom, who's facilitating this podcast today, and yourself, for you to actually have the opportunity of more or less recording the life of your own children is the most beautiful thing that you can do. For you to be able to look back in the future of videos and recordings and times that you're having with your children is just an incredible gift. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got photographs and things like that, but it would have been nice for me to kind of be able to go back and see you and our Jordan, and
playing around,
and a nice half-hour video,
videos,
and obviously myself then as a younger man, and just going back to that time. Now, we had the vehicle to do that, but now it's instant.
Yeah.
We had to set it up then with the camcorders and things like that. But now to just be able to have the moment and get your phone out and to record it and to share it, and then to go back to it. Yeah. It's just, it's an amazing thing.
I mean, the age of technology nowadays, it is, we are moving forward, and there's an element of how it's taken us away from our naturalness. But at the same time, we can use, the technology to warm the heart space and to do a lot of good things in the world. And, we are in the age of technology, we're in the age of information, and I think nowadays a lot more people are just waking up, and that old model of learning, being in school, by the click of a button, you can know anything you need to know. So, there's elements of how it can be a blessing, but also our curse, do you know what I mean? And, we're talking about, being in the present moments. And I think as a society in the West especially, we're always busy making plans, I suppose, you know what I mean? And we're always in that what's next sort of syndrome. And a lot of people look anywhere but the present moment. And that's where life really is, the extraordinary, in the ordinary, and to be grateful for that. And I suppose that comes as a level of maturity. Again, you're moving into your eldership, and you've always had that father and energy, and you're holding that space for people of Planet Yoga, and now you've become a grandfather, and an incredible story that you've got to tell. And this sort of moves us in the direction of maybe contemplating death, and I know, my nan and granddad, and which is your mother and father, they're still here, but they're very much knocking on death's door at the moment. And how do you, what do you contemplate? What's swimming around in your own inner arena for what's going on at this present moment in time with your own parents? Because they're there, they're moving towards it, aren't they?
Yeah, you get to a certain stage in your life, where you are aware of your own mortality, and I think the thing that generally you want as an individual is for the order of life, to go how it should go, which is like, if we talk about death, that obviously, your parents, and then yourself, and then your children, and then your children's children. And I think as long as you've got that order of life, then, you can accept it. I always thought of my dad and my mum, as completely indestructible. They've had the most amazing life, with the most amazing friends. And my dad, we come from a 2 up, 2 down, toilet in the yard, bath down in the cellar, but the most amazing and happy childhood that you would ever wish for. Just doing the simple things, playing out in the street, and so on and so forth. Fantastic memories going in my dad's wagon,
I know you went to football a lot as well, didn't you? You know, you went to Anfield, you're a big lover of Liverpool. And
going to the match with, you know, with me dad and having that connection with him. And we never had a lot of money, but there was awful lot of love in the house. And my dad was just a typical man's man, you know, he used to go to pub and things like that. I had an absolutely wonderful childhood. And my mum and dad have had an incredible life, a truly incredible life. And my one sadness is that even though they're both in the mid-80s now, they're both physically or were physically healthy. Unfortunately, both of them have now got dementia pretty badly. And it's a great sadness that as they come to the end of their lives, that they're not really conscious and aware of actually what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think getting old is not the problem. Because you know you're as old as you feel, and you're as old as what you think. And I don't feel old, you know. But probably then, as a kid, thinking of someone who was 60, you think they're absolutely ancient.
Yeah.
But trust me, you know, you think exactly the same things. You'd have the same feelings. You'd have the same dreams. You know, even you know at my age. And you have the same kind of ego as well, you know, about wanting to stay fit and healthy and fashion and all of this. But then it comes to a time, and it's coming now, certainly with my parents, is that, yeah, they're both pretty close to death. From my point of view, I actually know that I'm not going to be traumatized by it. I know I'm not going to, shall we say, what's the word? It's not going to affect me a great deal because I know they've had a great life.
Yeah.
You know, so they're ready for it. You know, and if my mum could make her own mind up now, she would decide to go right now. And all I know is that they've, you know, is that they've had 80 years on the planet, 80 odd years. It's been an amazing life for them. You know, they've been in love. They are loved. They are loved, and they will pass. And it's a time for them to pass. There is no regrets really from me mum and dad's point of view. I really, at this moment in time, I kind of just want them to go because they've had the best of their lives. They're now both suffering badly, and it's time for them to go. Unfortunately, you know, God will make that decision. But I won't feel bad when my parents both go, and it's become an acceptable thing for me right at this moment in time. As you're younger, you think of your parents dying, and it kind of horrifies you, and you think, oh God, there's going to be, you know, my mum and dad
one day,
you know, you think they're going to be there forever, but you actually have a moment yourself as an individual where you think, yeah, I can accept this now. And from my own point of view, I am accepting the fact that both my parents
are going to pass away.
Are going to pass away probably over the next 12 months. But I actually don't feel so bad about it because I feel blessed that they've been my
absolutely. You know, and I remember, you know, a lot of wonderful times as a child, you know, being cared for by my grandparents, and you know, we had many lovely times together, Christmases together, and you know, they lived in a lovely house, you know, in Walton Park, and then, you know, and previous in County Road, and just a lot of lovely memories. And sometimes we have to go back, don't we? You know, we've only got the you know, the capacity to go into our memory bank, to go in there and to just feel, you know, what you know, when we connect the dots, don't we? And we look back, and it gives us a sense of safety and a sense of melancholy, and you know, and it's and as you said, to know that they've had a good life, you know, they were happily married for a very long time, very traditional couple. You know, I had a lot of friends, they were very popular. You know, I had 3 kids, you know, let's not forget about Uncle Andrew and Auntie Gillian there. and then they've all had kids. So, you know, their legacy has been very much around family, hasn't it? You know, and what they've produced over a period of time. So that natural order of things, of having children and nurturing a home and going through that process, it's I suppose a dream come true, really. You know,
it's just and it's just so sad that it's coming, that it's going to end like this, because they're not even aware of each other. And that's such a shame. We always used to say, oh, well, you know, my mum goes first or my dad goes, or if someone's going to go, then really it'd have to be my mum going first because, you know, my dad would be able to cope with that. But life doesn't pan out that way, unfortunately. And this dementia thing, which is like the cruelest thing in the world, you know, when this sort of like knocks on your door and kind of becomes part of your family, it's such a terrible disease, and it just takes all your kind of wishes away of how you want it to kind of end with your own parents. And I can see now fear in my dad's eyes that I've never seen before, because he is aware of his vulnerability now. But I also think that he's kind of, you know, he's contemplating his own mortality and his own death, and he's probably never ever been in that position before. He's frightened.
Yeah, he's frightened.
My dad is frightened.
Yeah,
my mum, unfortunately, she's gone beyond that.
Yeah.
But I think my dad is pretty frightened.
There's levels of he's still there, isn't he? He's still sort of contemplating, and you know it's and
he's been the king.
Yeah,
you know, my dad, as you say, he started taking me to the football match when I was a kid, and many happy memories, and just simple things, simple holidays. But what a man! Yeah, never, you know. But the love that he shared with my mother is the most amazing thing.
It was unconditional, wasn't it?
Unconditional, 50, 60 years together. And you know, it makes you realise that you know, he's the richest man I've ever known. Yeah. Because he had what we all want. We just all want love. Yeah. And my dad has had it. Yeah. You know, and has still got it now. And that's why, you know, we are spending time with him, and hopefully making his last few kind of, you know, days and months, you know, on this particular planet as comfortable as we can for him. And that's it, really. Okay,
so thank you for sharing the story. It's just really, it's just lovely to sit here and to thrash it out. I think, you know, we've all got a story to tell, really, and we've all got unique gifts and talents that I feel as if, you know, if we share with the world, a lot of the time we're just afraid what other people are thinking. And, you know, we've been talking really openly here, and for anyone listening to this, it's, you know, there's a sense that we're just trying to inspire authenticity and for you to be yourself and to share your story. You know, don't be afraid to tell your story, because it can change someone's life, and it can inspire someone, you know, who are in some darker moments. So yeah, it's been really beautiful, you know, to talk about some past memories and to listen to your story, and as we lean towards finishing off, you know, the conversation, what's next? Is there anything, you know? I think I get a sense that you're just completely taking each day as it comes and living in the present moment, and maybe not looking so far into the future. I know you love what you do now more than ever, and you know, you've got this sense where actually you don't feel 60. I think nowadays you're probably on that fine line. I suppose when I get to 60, life's going to look so different. You know, that's another 25 years away, and
you'll be here tomorrow. Trust me.
Absolutely, and so there's a sense of, you know, I think what I see in you, Dad, is, you know, you're still very light-hearted and younger heart, and you know, you're very cool, you know, as well. And there's, I think what is sort of dying is that generation where, you know, the certain clothes they were wearing, the certain maybe attitude they had, you know, towards life. You know, you're on that like that change, that cusp, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Where maybe, you know, my generation, or, you know, Angela's generation, it's as they get to the 60s, you know, how life's going to look, you know what I mean? But I know you take each day as it comes, and I suppose, you know, asking the question what's next it doesn't really matter what's next. I suppose it matters what's now for you, and how you navigate your moments.
Yeah. The funny thing is, before I came here today, you're kind of thinking, well, you know, what are we going to talk about? And yet, you know, we could probably talk for another 2 or 3 hours, you know, about certain events in my life, you know, Hillsborough and Heysel, both events that touched me deeply, that I was involved in.
Because you're a big Liverpool fan, aren't you? And
yeah,
you know, and I suppose you've touched. You suppose, you know, you've stroked death. You've looked death in the face, I suppose. And I've heard the stories about Hillsborough.
I was in the Leppins Lane, and I you know, it was there for the grace of God. You know, I was right in the middle of it, and at that moment in time, I didn't think I'd make it through. And it's true, you know, you do think about things, you know, you just think about your family, you think about your sons, and you think about getting home, and you also think, oh my God, is this it? You know, is this how, you know,
is this how it's going to be?
Is this how my passage is going
to
be? But I certainly think, you know, as you get older, you tend to be, you tend to be less, you know, shall we say, tolerant of shall we say, bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, your bullshit ometer kind of goes through the extreme, because you realise that, you know, you haven't got that time. You know, it is about the here and now, and so, you know, your standards tend to improve. You don't accept things. You don't accept kind of, you know, low standards and things like that. Going forward, I just want to spend more time enjoying nature, enjoying, you know, Diane, the dogs, my family, yourself, Jordan, Assis, you know, my family, and the important things in life. I want to have no regrets. I want to do things while I'm physically active, that I've always wanted to do. Do the road trips, and you know, and so on and so forth, but also do it in a conscious way.
Yeah.
You know, not just jump on a plane, maybe go overland.
Yeah.
You know, and enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination.
Yeah.
Because it is all about the journey. It's not about getting there. It's about how you get there.
Yeah, lovely.
You know, and smell the flowers and be conscious in the moment. You know, and as regards staying young, Planet Yoga keeps me young, because like every single day we have beautiful people walking in. Most of them younger than myself, and you know, they're all my friends. And I don't see myself as being twice as old as them or whatever. I just see myself being part of it. And hopefully they see me in the same ilk. You know, they don't see me as an old geezer sitting behind reception or mopping the mats. That they see me as just a nice man, that you know, that loves them and respects them, and we all practice yoga together.
And there's an extended family here, isn't there? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, there's definitely a sense that, you know, who we come across in life. You know, I love you know, coming across a lot of people and meeting new people and making new friends. And I know it's been a massive value of ours. And a lot of people have always mentioned about, you know, your he's just a cool guy. You know what I mean? And you know, he's authentic, and isn't he a lovely fella? And I know that you're just really being yourself. And you know, we talk about, you know, death there a moment ago, and you being in Hillsborough and looking death in the face, and really it just wasn't your time. You know, we could maybe call upon, you know, what was destined for you, and for you to sit here and talk about your life and for the place you've come to, especially with Planet Yoga, and that seed that was planted many years ago, and how this has blossomed, you know, into something special. Is that, you know, this was destined for you, and again, you've met your partner. You've become a grandfather, and the whole tapestry of how things have unfolded over the last, you know, 10 years and before has been nothing but, I suppose, a journey worth living, and a lot of magic's happened, And it sets you up with the mindset that you have today, that you just want to be in the present moment. You just want to enjoy life, and you're really talking about the art of living here, and you've made a lot of skilled choices in your life, and you're letting go of the dead wood. You really get onto the bullshit, and you're owning your own stuff. And as I said before, you've never played the victim. You've always been incredibly steadfast and generous and honest, and it's been such a pleasure, to have shared a lot of time and a lot of memories, as a family, and we continue to do so moving forward. So yeah, we're going to wrap this up now, and I just want to express my gratitude. It's been a great conversation, and I hope anyone listening today is inspired. As I said before, we've all got a story to tell, and it's wonderful sometimes to just listen to real stories with real people. And I know I can speak on behalf of my father here that our intention is just to inspire, is to educate people and to motivate people to feel into their own authenticity, and and what does it mean to be alive here as a human? What does it mean to come together and co-create with the people around you? And it's certainly it's been a hell of a ride so far. So thank you for today, Dad. I love you very much.
I love you very much.
And I'm really glad.
And I think if you for us to, or for me to have wanted to manifest something as the stage in my life, I don't think it could have it could be any better than what it is now, to be able to to be with you, to work with you, to have Jordan here, to have all our family together. It's just it's an amazing feeling, to actually have that closeness, and also to look as a father on how you as an individual are blossoming and going forward, and really just putting it out there, and actually making a massive difference to other people's lives, and for me as a little bit of an outsider, looking down on that just gives me so much pride, and I love you very much as well.
Thank you so much. Creating Space is sponsored by the Scouse Guru app, an all-purpose meditation app that feeds into all your needs, developing peace of mind, increasing mental focus, lowering stress levels while discovering inner stillness, awakening your potential and educating you on all matters related to human behaviour and personal development. Download the app for free on the App Store or get it on Google Play today.